new album is called Amazing. It came about very just naturally, the title. We were sort of just talking about it, and it's a mix of a lot of different genres of music. So there's funk in there, it's very pop, very dance, has R&B and hip hop as well. So trying to figure out a name, and the word amazing was thrown around a couple times. It's also one of the tracks on my album, so it just worked perfectly. I worked with a lot of great producers on this album. It was really, really fun. It was a great process, very creative and sort of just organic. I worked with D'Antoni, who's a great producer, Taj Jackson, Michelle Bell. I worked with the Cutfather team. I worked with Misto and Pizzy. So it's a lot of different sort of sounds and vibes. It's come into this sort of just overall sound, which is what makes it so different and so interesting, I think. Just a lot of different, picking different people's brains and just sort of making this whole overall package. So I'm very happy with it. I'm very excited. Heartstop, it's a very upbeat sort of song. It has a very hip-hop beat, it's pop and dance at the same time, with also a bit of funk rolled in there, which is one of my favorite genres. And it was just, I wanted to create something that was very danceable, that was very upbeat, uplifting, clubby. So that's sort of how it came about in the track. I just fell in love with the track when I heard it. It was just perfect. It had all this dynamic and complexity in it, just different levels of, expression from the producer, and you felt it. And so when the finished product was done, it was perfect. I just loved it. It's one of my favorite songs on the album, actually. As a major label, you have the means to, just completely saturate the market with whichever artist, you choose. With an indie label, it's not as simple as that. You need to sort of work from sort of a grassroots sort of level first and get that sort of stabilized. So you have a very strong foundation, which has worked marvelously. I'm really, really excited about it, actually. It's become viral on the internet. A lot of little girls have been posting, how much they love the album and the songs. Top choreographers from NYC are dancing to my music on in their dance classes and their dance sessions, and some of the students also are doing their thing on YouTube with my songs. So it's been really amazing to see it sort of just spread out and just trickle outward. And as an artist, you put so much effort and so much passion, so much energy into what you're doing. To see other people sort of connecting with it on some level and bringing what they have to it, and just making their own interpretation, their own sort of style and flavor on it. It's the greatest reward I could ever have. That's why I do it. I want people to connect. I want people to be inspired to be inspired to do whatever they would like to do, dance, whatever it is, singing. You might not be able to have the means to completely, again, just splatter the market with your face as an indie label, but in exchange you have freedom. You have complete creative freedom and flexibility to do what you really feel, your expression of yourself as an artist, and to be able to share that with people is just fantastic. I grew up in a very musical environment. Both of my parents have been, extremely, extremely into the arts and performance. So at a very early age, I was brought up on music and brought up on performance and dance and just everything that has to do with that. My grandma would take my brother and I to Carnegie Hall maybe 4 times a month. So I was very exposed to a lot of different kinds of music. Bossa Nova, R&B, like Cab Calloway. I absolutely love Cab Calloway, Aretha Franklin, Diana Krall, Joe Beam and Astrid and Bebel. Just all sort of shaped sort of my musicality now. And I like to think that it's come through, although it is pop and dance and, funk, that it's come through in my voice, in how I was brought up, and just the environment that I was in. And a lot of times I tell people all the time, when I was younger, there would just be music playing in different rooms at the same time, completely different genres. So my mom would be listening to, Bossa Nova, and my dad would be listening to, the scat, Cab Calloway, and my brother's listening to, Coldplay and Radiohead. And I can hear them all, and I'm writing, down, just my expression of what I'm hearing through all of that. But it's definitely been amazing just having so many different things to pull from. Billie Holiday has been really great. Scissor Sisters and the Guggenheim Grotto, I love them. There's a lot of different variety, and that's what I love. I love to pull from that. I love to express myself through that, because art, that's what it's all about. What's your take? What's your interpretation? How are you gonna project yourself, taking from your inspirations and that sort of shaped you as an artist? New York is so unique It's a city, it never does sleep, you know. There's always something going on. There's always that pulsating rhythm beat that's just flowing through it constantly. The diversity of sounds you hear, the diversity of people, just the environment as a whole, the grit, you know, the grind, has all been a major, you know, influence in my music now. I was in the Gramercy area for a while when I was younger, and just that whole, you know, you have different pockets of people. You have, you know, the downtown, you have, you know, uptown, like Spanish Harlem, you have Harlem, you know, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, and they all sort of just give it this amazing personality. And to be actually in that and to use that to sort of further your image of how you want to be, you know, seen, it's an amazing, amazing environment. And I wouldn't change it for anything. It's absolutely perfect. I love New York. I love New York. My advice to any young person who wants to start in this industry is, if you just love it and there's nothing else, you know, in the world, I would just push and push and push and just be persistent and test your limits and test your boundaries and never stop evolving. That would be the advice I would have to give. It's actually funny, I have a story. I'm always rehearsing for my shows coming up. You're in there and you're working, you know, 10 hours, you know, 12 hours just doing the choreography, the performance. But you know, I looked down and there were black and blue bruises on my legs, literally black and a little bit of purple and green too, actually. You know, it was sort of like a revelation. It's sort of inspiring for myself because you know you're pushing yourself, but when you actually see something so tangible as, you know, you just like beat yourself up because you're working so hard. But in the end, it's sort of like that's the sort of attitude you have to, you know, just create an avenue for yourself. Just love it as much as you can and make sure you're passionate about it and just never stop evolving or being persistent in it. Performing is my first love, and I love the recording process as well, but performance is really, to me, the most thrilling and invigorating and just raw experience for me as an artist. So to do that, to do what I love, to be able to perform for people and to just work off their energy and their, you know, taking mine as well, it's just the most amazing organic experience, you know, I could ever think of, and that's what keeps me at it. That's what I'm excited about for the future.